I remember, like I could be wrong, but I actually heard, or maybe I actually read from a book. It says that 20% of the business fail in their just first 2 years, and maybe 40 or 45% of businesses fail in their first 5 years. And if I'm not wrong, I believe the one of the most common reasons for business failure in these like early years is that they ran out of their capital money, or they just ran out of the funds. What you would suggest to make it a scalable business, or to have a business in the long term? How can a small business owner or young entrepreneurs can prepare themselves so they don't face this problem in the future?
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, the thing is, right? I mean, in a way, it's good to fail in those first 2 years, right? Ideally in the first year, right? Because I would argue 20% of the businesses should probably fail, right? Because not every concept is great.
Mhm.
Should you stop pursuing it because it's a bad concept? No, right? Because if you don't pursue it, how will you learn in order to create your next business to be the most successful business, right? So that learning is required. Right now, how hard you fall is up to you, right? It all depends on how much have you invested, how much have you put in everything, how much have you not validated. It all depends on how hard you will fall. So there's a process where you can soften the fall and make sure that you get the best learnings out of it in essence, right? But 20%, I would say, of the businesses are supposed to fail. So it's okay to fail, right? We can't look at them and say, oh, shoot, that's a failure, right? No, they are supposed to fail, and glad that they failed in the first 2 years. It's worse for the businesses who failed in the 5 years, that
Mm.
45%. That's a sad story
Also,
because 5 years, because you suffered for 5 years, potentially for something which you could have suffered in the first year and got rid of it,
mm,
right?
yeah.
Either because you did not fail fast, you did not want to make mistakes, you somehow found a way to string it together, or you did not learn fast enough, right? That you were able to correct your mistakes and keep on improving, right? Failure doesn't mean the business is zero, right? Failure could mean, oh, shoot, I'm supposed to grow 20% every year. This year I only grew 10%. There has to be something that I need to look at.
Mhm.
Oh, I grew 20%. I met me, but I really know based on the market, I could have grown 50%. So whatever that aspect is, really figuring, okay, you know what? None of that is failure, but what can I learn from here? How can I get it even better, right? So constantly being in that curious mindset, that inquisitive mindset to constantly look at where you can improve. That's important, right? Now, that being said, I mean, again, a lot of that happens because of all the factors that I mentioned to you, right? I mean, it's not easy to start a company. It's not easy to build a business. And it's definitely not easy to try and do it by one individual, right? So, which is why the right solution, the right problem, the right solution, the right team, the right open mindedness and coachability, because one person cannot, I mean, when you start a business, I would say there are at least 100,000 different things that you need to learn in terms of skills as an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur doesn't learn 100,000 skills. What happens? Either they hire people who can cover a portion of that, and the rest, whatever haven't covered, will go away, or they decide to ignore vast majority of it. Because you can't do 100,000 things, right? You can either hire people or just ignore and do whatever you can. I mean, yeah, you're burning candle, you are not sleeping at all, you're completely working hard, which is all good, right? I'm completely for working hard, but you are trying to do that without necessarily being on the right path in essence, right? And what does that mean is you're trying to learn 100,000 things, but you're only able to cover, let's say, I don't know, 100 of those skills in essence, right? So at the end of it, you have to find ways to
Mhm.
manage that in essence, right?
Yeah.
One is by focus. When we don't have a focus, we try to do too many things as a business, either too many services, too many products, too many different audiences we want to create. All of those create clutter in our mind, right? And as a result of that, actually it was supposed to be 5,000. We created 100,000 tasks for us, right? So first in our mind, if you focus and try solve the first problem first, do a great job at it, then go to the second problem, because now you have resources in order to do that. That makes it a lot easier in essence, right? Then hiring the right team so that you don't have to do all the 10,000, 100,000 things by yourself. You have people to share, but still stay focused. So there are only 5,000 tasks, and you have people who can do 5,000 tasks. Now they can do really great job at whatever task that they are supposed to do and whatever aligned with their skills in essence, right? So that's one thing that's important. A lot of times it's not possible to do that because either we are not focused, we don't have the right resources and whatnot. The second part about that is the system as well, right? I mean, there are not as many, while Canada is a great place to start a business, right? In India, I always question myself, could I have started a business in the same way that I started in Canada, right? Because I did not take any capital. I did not have any savings. I started a business saying, okay, let me sell apps to clients. Whatever money I make, I'll put back into the business. I'll sell the next app, put it in the business. That's how I started it, right? I mean, I didn't have any capital. I always think about, could I have started a business in that way in India, right? And my question is, yeah, Canada is a great place that way to start a business. It's a lot easier to start a business. Not necessarily the best place to grow a business. The ecosystem still needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of refinement in order to do that in essence. And a lot of that is vetting, right? I mean, the problem is when it becomes an easy place to start business, the negative aspect of it is those 20% that should have failed, that still come into the fore in essence, right? So the system needs refinement, to be very honest. I mean, we are creating a venture right now that helps startups and scale ups get the right capital, get the right funding and stuff like that, because we see that there is a gap in the market from that point of view. But the most important aspect from that business owner point of view is planning, right? As simple as that. Like basics of cash flow planning. How do you ensure that you have enough money or enough resources, right? Now, resources is a factor of either cash that you have in savings or investment or whatever, and the arms that you have, right? I mean, I have two arms. I'm not paying myself salary when I start my business. Okay, here you go. These two arms are worth whatever, 100,000, 200,000 a year, 50,000 a year, whatever you call it. Okay, so you have that capital plus you have 100,000. Okay, now I got a friend of mine to say, hey, you are great at doing this thing. I'm good at building this. You are great at selling this. Why don't you join my business? Okay, great. Now you got two more arms, right? So now you are 200,000 in resources and you have a capital of 50,000, right? Now the planning of, okay, 300,000, how long is it going to last you? What all do you need to do till your next point of inflection of resources? Where are those resources going to come from? Either you get investment or ideally you make revenues yourself, right? How long to make that revenue? Let's be realistic about it. Let's be positive about it. Let's create those scenarios. Best case scenario, within 4 months, I'll start making revenue that, okay, fine. I've convinced my friend, he doesn't need to take salary for 1 year. He agrees with that. I've convinced myself, I don't need to take salary for 1 year. Okay, fine. So I'm okay. Both of us are okay for a year, right? Okay, that's fine. But my business still demands cash. Yeah. It requires whatever. It requires marketing dollars or if you're building an app, dollars to create the app or whatever that is. So in terms of within 4 months, this 300,000 of overall resources is going to deplete. So within the 4 months, what do I need to do? I need to either generate enough revenue or get investment so that I hit that target in essence, right? If you ignore that target, what's going to happen? It's going to eventually fail anyways. But if you hit that target and if you miss that target, then you know, okay, what do I need to do? Now I need to question. I'm not on the right path. Do I need to pivot? Do I need to switch my strategy? What really went wrong? And then accordingly continue charting that. So that planning is very important to make sure that whatever resources you have are in line with what milestones that you have to grow the business. Take the first, when you start the business, look at that first milestone as your goal post and see how you can get enough resources to get there, right? And if you plan that way, things will align. You'll find different ways. You'll figure out solutions.
Amazing, Kundan. And we just now closing to near to our closing. And I just want to ask one of the last questions. Is that you said it's not wrong to pursuing when you are even it's gonna fail. You think it's gonna fail in 1 year, 2 year. It's good to fail early, but it's not wrong to pursuing that thing. But what do you think as a business owner, what do you think are there some kind of red flags a business owner or entrepreneur can see in their journey during when they're starting out? Maybe you may say I don't know, not meeting the geographic needs, maybe not getting enough revenue coming every year, or maybe not meeting the market demands. But you would see that these are some kind of red flags you may have to take notice when you're starting out, so you don't like go all in and hit the roadblock.
So the first is the customer need, right? It starts with the customer. So really, one biggest challenge I see a lot of businesses have when they start out is not knowing who their exact customer is, right? A lot of businesses think that every person on this planet is my customer. And the reason that they feel that way, when they feel that way, is they feel everyone is like me, right? It's a very close-minded approach that everyone's like me. They're all their circumstances like me. I or my ego, right?
Yeah,
I'm the
yeah,
center of the universe. So yeah, if I'm having the problem, everyone has the problem. I can sell this to the whole world, right? So so really knowing your customer, and when I say knowing your customer, really understanding what are the characteristics of my customer, right? And a lot of times that will come out to there are 5 different types of broad customers that I have. Now let's understand the characteristics of each of those customers and then figure out which of those customers I should target. If it's more than one type of customer,
Mhm.
you've diverted your focus 50-50 and you have limited resource, right? You only started with whatever, that 100,000 in resource capital to
Yeah.
begin with. You have limited resource. You can't afford to not focus, right? If you have an option between two and it's 50-50, pick the 150 that you feel better against. If
Mm.
that fails, okay, then go to the next one. But if you divert your attention, you've already diverted your resources 50-50 and you may not learn enough about them. In the first approach, if you go all in with first, even if that was the wrong approach, at least you fully understood that they are not someone to pursue. You failed fast. At least you felt, okay, you did something, but at least know what it's obviously important in business to know what to do, but it's even more important in the initial time in the initial wise what not to do. So now knowing that I should not pursue this market or this type of a customer is extremely valuable. Then for 5 years trying to figure out a way to sell to that audience when we didn't even know that they had the problem or not, and we are still trying and being persistent. I'm persistent, I'm hardworking, I'm not gonna give up. But wait a minute, did you ask them? Did you really focus on them? Did you really understand what they need? So I would say that's the number one, like beyond doubt, right? Especially when it comes to technology businesses or technology startups. But regardless of that, your understanding of who your customer is the most important. When you know who your customer, and it doesn't come like that, right? It's experimentation. You test it,
Yeah.
you trial tribulations, you try it out, you test it out, you get positive results, you get false positives, you get false negatives, and then you finally get enough data to say, okay, I have enough for me to have, when they say gut and intuition in business, right? The gut and intuition needs to come on top of data, because the data will never give you the full story. You still need gut and instinct on top of that data. Okay, I have data. Now I don't have, I mean, as a starting business, you may not have whatever, I mean, 100,000 or a million points of data. You might just have 100 or 50 or 200, right? So you're still making a big assumption, but you at least have some data to start with, as opposed to zero. If you have zero, then what are you basing your gut instinct on, right? Yourself, your own ego, your own experiences, your own feeling that I'm the center of the universe? No, right? So whatever that data is, okay, 100 people, and you know what, the way that they express their problem, I mean, that's the emotion, that's where the human side comes in. The way they felt about it, oh man, this is such a big problem for me, I really need a solution. So only 100 people, but I know the intensity of that problem now with those 100 people. And because of that intensity of problem, plus even if it's just 100 people or 50 people that told me that they have the problem, I think my gut tells me I should go ahead with it, in essence, right? So that basing your gut on top of that data is extremely important, and getting that data is not difficult. You just need to seek for it. You just need to have conversations. You can do surveys. You can do so many different things. You can do research, but just don't do research. Do research as your first line of research, but then actually ask questions, actually get there, right? So I would say that's number one.
Mhm.
Uh, Capital is also number two, and access to capital is number two. One challenge which a lot of new immigrants especially have, right, is that awareness of building a good credit score, right? I didn't have that awareness. I never really focused right off the bat that here's the process of not just maintaining my credit score, but building my credit score. And this is how I need to be very careful about making sure that I build my credit history really well as soon as I land into the country and I go about things, right? And once you do that, then at least you have access to some capital that you might need initially and whatever, right? If you don't focus on that credit history or credit score part, then it becomes very challenging. Then all the doors can potentially close in essence, right? So those kind of things are important to at least set yourself up for having some access to capital. And then it's all about relationships, man. It's all about how you can have conversations with people, provide them value, be compassionate, be always willing to give. A lot of times, see, my belief is a lot of times we don't seek for mentors or we don't seek for help is because we fear we may not be, we have that uh, lack of abundance mentality. We feel that we may not have anything to give back to them. We may not, if they ask me for something in return, I may not have that to give that back. I might compromise myself. I might be put myself in a very a compromising or a or a indebted situation where I may not know how to move from, right? But when you go in with an abundance mentality, when you go with compassion that, hey, you know what? You are a big shot entrepreneur, right? I'm sure I can find some value for you, right? I mean, I need your help as whatever, as my first customer or my employer or a guide or a mentor or whatever. Same thing from a potential customer who you're seeking feedback from, whatever that is. I need your help. I know I need your help, but I'm going to give you value first, right? I'm just going to give you value because not because it's a transaction, but I'm here to give value. So even if you don't give anything back to me, it's okay because whatever value you give it into the world, into the universe, right? So just if you just keep giving value out from one place, you'll get so much value that it will go a lot beyond all whatever value, perceived value you've given to every person in the world, right? So hence that act of compassion, act of just giving value is so important as a mindset, right? Just keep doing that. Just keep being at service. Keep helping out because we need help.
Yeah.
We all need help. We all need to work together in order to be stronger. I cannot be who I am right now without the amazing work for every single person in my company, right? I'm here in front of the camera and stage, but it's all because of them in essence, right? And I need them. If I don't have them, I can do all the things. I can do sales, marketing, development, design, testing, all of that. No, I can't, right? I mean, one person can't do it. And if I do it, I'll just do one app at a time. I won't be able to build 600 apps at the same time. I wouldn't take my business to where it is. And one app at a time, I would have given up long time back. It's just too hard and not lucrative to even pursue it, right? A job will be a lot more lucrative than what I would have done in that way, right? So that's very important to make sure that you have that ability to constantly give back in essence and have that mindset, and then it'll be very easy for you to ask for help because in your mind you are here to give, right? So if you won't feel guilty about asking someone for help. You won't feel guilty about asking someone, hey, can you give me your feedback, or can you guide me, can you mentor me, can you advise me? Because in your mind you know that if that person asks me for something, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Why? Out of compassion, out of humanity. Even if that person doesn't help me, I'll still be able to help that person. I have the ability, that confidence in my ability to do that. And when we don't have that confidence, we don't just hesitate in helping others, which is bad, but we also hesitate in asking for help, which is even worse.